On June 17th, 2015, Dylan Roof, who was 21 at the time, casually walked into a church in Charleston, South Carolina, and he joined a circle of African-American Christians who were gathered for a Bible study. He even joined in the conversation in the course of the hour. Then he suddenly got up and, brandishing a pistol, opened fire. And at the end of this process, there were 9 people dead. Afterwards, he was arrested. He admitted to the killings. He said his purpose was to foment a race war in America. He then explained very objectively what he was about. Listen now to what he says. I want to make it crystal clear. I do not regret what I did. I am not sorry. I've not shed a tear for the innocent people that I killed. During the sentencing phase of the trial, he specified that he was not mentally ill. He was fully aware of what he was doing and why. I think it's fair to say that Dylan Roof, to use a somewhat old-fashioned term, is a wicked person. Now, in the wake of this horrible event, what really got the attention of the country was the acts of members of the families of the victims, many of whom came forward to offer their forgiveness of this wicked man. Listen to some of the things they said. The daughter of one of the murdered churchgoers said, I will never be able to hold her again, but I forgive you. The relative of another victim insisted, we have no room for hating, so we have to forgive. Another one said very bluntly, I pray God on your soul. Now, many commented that this extreme case called to mind a similar one from 2006, when a man walked into a one-room schoolhouse in Pennsylvania, opened fire on Amish children, killing 5 of them. He went back to his house and then killed himself. As armies of reporters from around the world descended to try to understand what was going on, members of the families of the murdered children came to the family of the murderer and offered forgiveness. And see, in both cases, this caused a certain amazement, and in some cases, even consternation. Like, how is this possible, and is this something good? Now, here's the point I want to make. Both these cases are very powerful icons of the love of God. For our time, extraordinary signs of what the divine love is like. Now, to get this, we first have to clear the ground a little bit. First of all, what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not the summoning of positive feelings about someone that's committed some awful crime. It's not that at all. It's not a matter of feelings. Nor is it writing off what was done as though, oh, it's not really all that bad. No, real forgiveness assumes something horrific, something objectively wrong has been done. So what is forgiveness? It's an act of the will, because it's an act of love. To love is to will the good of the other as other. To will the good of someone else without expecting return, to will it simply for the sake of the other. In the case of forgiveness, it's willing the good of relieving a debt of obligation for a crime done. Now, this in turn brings us right to the heart of a very interesting problem in 20th century philosophy. A number of philosophers, Jacques Derrida, one of the most prominent, saw what they call the aporia of a gift. It's a fancy way of saying the impossibility or the conundrum of the gift. Can I really give a gift? That's the question. Because the minute I give something to you, I've at least implicitly or unconsciously obligated you, right? At the very least, you've got to write me a thank you note. At the limit, you have to return a gift to me. It's as though a gift always comes with strings attached, which is why Derrida, who loved to play with language, saw the link between the English word gift and the German word Gift, spelled the same way, which means poison. So is it possible truly to give a gift that doesn't expect something in return? Now, to show that this is not a new problem, go right back to the New Testament and the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus says, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemy. Love your enemy. Yeah, love those who are not going to love you back. Love precisely those who are not going to answer in kind. He says, when you loan money, don't expect it to be paid back, but loan money to those who can't pay you back. When you give a party, don't give it to those rich enough to give you a party in return. Give it to those who are crippled and blind and poor who can't pay you back. You see what he's doing there is he's signaling the radicality of real love, to will the good of someone who's not going to will your good in return. Now do you see why a case like Dylan Roof, this wicked man, who is not going to return the favor. That's the point. He's not going to return the favor. Nevertheless, they offer him forgiveness. You see how it puts into sharp relief the nature of true love, the willing of the good of the other. Notice, please, now, in our great Catholic tradition, we talk about love as a theological virtue. That means it doesn't happen naturally. It's not something that takes place in the natural course of things. Rather, it's grounded in the love that God is. It's only when the divine life is in you that you're able truly to love in this way. And that's why the love offered by the relatives of these victims is such a powerful icon of the divine love. And it's the very wickedness of Dylan Roof that puts this love into sharpest relief. So, I close with this. I talk a lot about evangelization. Right? How do you announce the gospel? And I believe in arguments and, the intellectual path. I do indeed. I believe in the path of beauty, to show people Chartres Cathedral and Sistine Chapel. But I also believe that maybe the most effective way to evangelize is to show these relatives of Dylan Roof's victims, to listen to them, listen again to the language that was used. We have no room for hating, so we have to forgive. That's an icon of God. That's a powerful means of evangelization.